All right, so this could end up being a very pivotal season for Jalen Green. So if you look at Jalen Green and where he's at right now in his career, hasn't been horrible, right? Hasn't been bad, but there's still some issues and still some developmental concerns from a lot of fans. Best example of that is his scoring efficiency or lack thereof. You look at him throughout the season, yes, he was around 20 points per game, but was shooting in the low 40s, and that inefficiency and lack of consistency carried over to the postseason, where he only averaged 13 points in the first round against the Warriors. Now, to be fair, that was his first playoff appearance and his first taste of the postseason, so I will give him that. But when you're looking at some players that were drafted with him, like Evan Mobley, Cade Cunningham, Franz Wagner, his own teammate or own former teammate Alperen Sengun, those guys are much further along in their development relative to him. And part of me knew that we were going to get to this point with Green, because when you have a player coming out of the draft that is such a score first sort of guy, you know you're going to struggle with efficiency, and maybe he'll be a volume scorer here and there. It's tough for those guys to truly develop into their role. We get that, right? With Anthony Edwards, that was a bit of an issue earlier in his career. Then he ultimately figured it out. So I'm not counting out Jalen Green at all. But one thing I will say is I have faith that his move over to Phoenix not only is a change in scenery, but I do think it is an environment that could be more conducive to him having some more success on the offensive end, especially when it comes down to his efficiency. So when we're talking about Green's efficiency issues, I want us to kind of take a step back and let's realize something. Efficiency can be reflective of a player's skill set or some things that they're not controlling well on their own. That's true. But it could also be a reflection of the system that they're on or the makeup of their team. If we look at the perimeter players, right, who are winning championships over like the last 5 seasons, SGA, right, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, Giannis, who did some operating out of the perimeter. A lot of those guys had stellar three-point shooting and spacing. The Bucks did in 2021. The Thunder did this past season. They were like top 10 in both attempts and three-point percentage. And obviously the Celtics had it. They were simply one of the greatest three-point shooting teams of all time. So a player's efficiency isn't just a reflection of their own skill set. It's also a reflection of the team and system they're on. If you look at Jalen Green, never had spectacular spacing or three-point shooting around him. Last year, Houston was a very weak three-point shooting team, ranking near the bottom of the league in both attempts and efficiency from beyond the arc. It's very tough to be an efficient young player if you're in a system that is inefficient in and of its own, especially from a spacing and three-point shooting standpoint. That is going to be completely different here in Phoenix. While it is different than what is going to be or what it was last season, the Suns were still an amazing three-point shooting team last year, ranking highly in both attempts and percentage, and they are returning a lot of amazing floor spacers. Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, possibly Bradley Beal. I'm saying possibly because there are some rumors out there that he may not be on the team this coming season, but possibly Bradley Beal. Ryan Dunn, who's going to continue to grow as a three-point shooter. Devin Booker, right? There are still some amazing floor spacers here in Phoenix. Maybe Dylan Brooks. There are still some amazing floor spacers here with this Phoenix team, and I think Jalen Green would definitely benefit from just having increased spacing and increased three-point shooting efficiency around him. Again, being an inefficient player isn't just a reflection of you. It could also be a reflection of the system around you. Jalen Green simply never had an amazing floor spacing system to play in. Some of that could have rubbed off on his own shot creation and his own efficiency issues. I think it's going to be completely different this coming season here for Phoenix. Also, I really feel like people are underrating the idea of a backcourt of Jalen Green and Devin Booker. And I was kind of skeptical when the trade first happened, right? Because I was thinking, how are you going to try to fit Green, Beal, and Booker on the same team, right? If they're like closing games out, how do you even delegate those shots? But what you really have to realize, especially about Devin Booker, he is a much better all-around offensive player than people give him credit for. If you look at him over the last couple of seasons, and even when he was playing on Team USA, he can fit in a lot of different roles and excel in a lot of different roles. When he was playing with Team USA, they were asking him to be a really good point of attack defender. If you look at him here in Phoenix, his number was called on to be a playmaker and to set the table for guys at a higher volume than he did at any point in his career prior to that. And just last season, had around 7 assists per game. The year before was around 6. So a really good setup guy, and again, just a much more versatile offensive player than a lot of people think. So I think with the versatility of Devin Booker, along with him just being another option next to Jalen Green, that allows Green a lot more freedom, takes a lot of pressure off of him, because Green simply did not have amazing secondary shot creation around him in Houston, right? If they weren't running the offense throughout Prince Şengün, it was probably through him or Fred VanVleet. Issue with Fred VanVleet is he also struggles from an efficiency standpoint. Fred VanVleet, as great as he is, and he is an NBA champion, is probably the most inefficient, or at least one of the most inefficient starting point guards in the NBA. I think having a guy like Booker who can set the table and be versatile and also just be an amazing scoring option, it takes a lot of pressure off of Green, takes a lot of stress off of him, and maybe gives him just more efficient looks and gives him the opportunity to be a way more consistent and less of a volume scorer this coming season. So the fit between him and Booker is a lot better than a lot of people think at this point in time. So hopefully this is a season where both Phoenix and Jalen Green can put things together. And it's funny because both the franchise and the player with Jalen Green, they're in very similar spots. Both are good, have the potential to be good, but they're trying to figure something out. And there have constantly been these roadblocks through the last couple of years. But I think this could be like this perfect unison between both him and the franchise. And I think they can actually put something together pretty meaningful this season if the efficiency does catch up for Jalen Green and if the system does benefit him in a way that it really never has in Houston prior to this off.